Hello and welcome back to Drama Investigator. Beauty guru Spanky Valentine, also known as Swoop on YouTube, recently exposed her ex-friend Mykie, who goes by the username Glam&Gore, in a 1-hour YouTube video. Spanky had discussed Mykie's racist microaggressions and left DMs showing Mykie trashing countless beauty gurus like James Charles and Jeffree Star behind the scenes. Within the 1-hour video, Spanky shows receipts from their 2-year friendship that caused Spanky to make the video. So I'm going to briefly touch on some of the receipts Spanky mentioned in her hour-long video. If you haven't watched the full hour-long video, this will give you a better understanding of what kind of went down. So here were some of the leaked messages where Mykie was gossiping about beauty gurus behind their backs. Here we can see she was talking about Norvina. She had said, "What is she doing to her face? Like, obviously do what you want to your own face, but that honestly scared me scrolling past it. It makes me wonder if she has any clue how far she's gone." She then posted a screenshot of Tana Mojo and had said, "I effing hate YouTubers." Spanky responded, "I need a triggered warning before that mess slides through." That parenthetical makes you want to vomit. Not that it's true, but that she thinks it's cute to brag. Here we can see Mykie talking about James Charles. James has said in a tweet, "I can't even tell you guys how many YouTubers declined collabing because of my scandals or because I was a smaller channel, but now ask me to film now that my numbers are strong. Too many. It's not a followers thing, it's a respect thing. Not interested anymore. Sorry." Mykie had said to Spanky, "This coming from a small influencer kid that I met at BeautyCon, and he gave zero shits about speaking to me until he saw a brand bring a bag of free things over to me. Then suddenly he lit up and I was so interesting to him. How badly I wanted to say that." And here we can see Mykie talking shit about Gabby Hanna. Please read the ironic caption and then explain to me why she has no belly button. What is she, Kyle XY? Mykie also used both Jeffree and James for clout. She would act two-faced and talk shit behind their backs to Spanky and then collab with them for views. She also made homophobic comments about why they were famous and she wasn't. Here Mykie had said to Spanky, "Where I look at two of the most controversial ever beauty gurus growing effing rapidly, one of whom does content no better or more clever than my own and has less talent and does less of the work himself." Here she'd said, "Meanwhile, James is tweeting about combining his top looks for his 10 mil video, as though I didn't do that for 3 mil. Spanky responded, "Girl, you have a collab with James coming up. How many people can say that? And you're getting major views and recommends. Look how you've been doing for months. I didn't even think you liked James, lol." That doesn't negate how frustrating that is. Here Mykie had sent Spanky screenshots of her conversation with James Charles. Mykie had said, "Ha ha ha, OMG James, 2 things. 1, my video I filmed earlier this week is about you, so the timing is funny, and 2, you and I had the exact same idea. I had asked Blank to do the exact thing you did for your new video. Who is this? I lost the number, I apologise. OMG. Mykie had then sent this to Spanky, but this shit again. Here was a screenshot of her conversation with James. James had said, "I want to do something really dope with you for a video one day. We have to plan something super cool. Well, lucky it looks like we're on the exact same page with ideas, so I don't think that should be too hard for us." And then she had two-faced backstabbed him and said to Spanky, "Like, if you dude," referring to James Charles. And then here we can see her talking about James behind his back again. She had said, "I just showed you I asked to do the exact same thing you think your genius brain could have only come up with by itself. And again with it, we have to plan something super cool." I don't understand the fascination with him at all. It's kind of incredible that the fastest growing MUAs in the beauty guru space are 2 gay men who are riddled with controversy. So Spanky also exposed messages back and forth between her and Mykie, where Mykie was talking down racism. As we can see here, she was talking about Hollywood. Mykie had said, "I think I mentioned this, but Peter has heard from several actor friends of his that they've been turned down repeatedly for roles because they're essentially too white. That Hollywood is mostly only looking for ethnically ambiguous now." And then Spanky responded, "Yeah, like I said, there's a small inclusivity trend, but it's nowhere near balanced." And then Mykie responded, "But my point is, it looks to me like the opportunities are here more than ever for someone mixed." So the video that Spanky uploaded to her YouTube channel exposing Mykie has unfortunately received some backlash. She'd said this in a recent tweet, "I'm being called every racist slur in the book, and while I know I opened the door, it goes to show there is so much more work to be done. I can only hope people feel empowered to tell their stories, especially disparaged groups, and that people allow them the space to tell it." Now Spanky has also recently clarified in a lengthy description post on her video some questions that she's constantly getting asked by haters. She'd said, "Update, answering some of your questions. 1. Did you even try to talk to her about this stuff? A. Yes I did, as I showed in the video, and I shared some screenshots in the video because I guess people would jump to that conclusion. When I tried to talk to her about this stuff, I got the same type of response. She would flip it on me, invalidate my feelings/experience, and gaslit me. There was a time she got quite angry at me and it became a very hurtful argument. I included screenshots. I hope people someday understand that gaslighting is very destructive mentally, especially when it happens over time, and it's nearly impossible to recognize when it's happening to you by its very definition. But there has to come a point where when you see that someone does not want to listen, and that you have to pull back from them and stop trying, as it takes a toll on your mental health. And eventually I had to stop responding for my own well-being. At the end of the day, I won't try to force someone to listen and learn. It is not the responsibility of every BIPOC or POC to have to make anyone understand our experience. I took this to her, she rejected it many times, and I stopped talking to her. 2. Why are you talking about this publicly? Firstly, much of what I talked about was public knowledge. I really wish people would allow minorities, especially BIPOC, to tell their stories in whatever format they need without condemning them for coming forward. That contributes to erasure culture. As I mentioned in the video, I believe we have a responsibility to call out behaviour that harms our communities. I fully believe that if this were a brand, or a politician, or a teacher, or traditional celebrity, or a pastor, or an abusive boyfriend, that no one would have a problem with me talking about this publicly. It would be encouraged. So why do we not hold influencers, who literally call themselves a brand, to the same accountability as other public figures? Influencers hold a lot of power these days, and I'm not sure why people so desperately want influencers, especially powerful ones, to be able to be one way behind the scenes while projecting a different narrative publicly without accountability. Was that the right thing to do? I believe so. I spent a lot of time thinking over all this, and knew I would get a ton of hate, but I felt a lot of responsibility to try and help someone hopefully learn about the experiences of so many minorities. I tried so many times to talk to her about this, see video for screenshots, and every time was gaslit. How many times should I go to someone privately just to be gaslit? At this point, I felt it was much bigger than me, and that there's a very real chance people can learn something about this type of behaviour, and hopefully change how they treat minorities. 3. You omitted texts. I did not include her text saying that she was because I would never out someone's sexual assault if they had not openly talked about it, which she is not. So of course I cut that out, and it has no bearing on how manipulative her message felt. She never told me that my sexual assault trauma gave her personal comfort, nor that she personally found it comforting. I did not respond to her initial message about my sexual assault, nor her asking to share my trauma, so she followed up later by saying she was assaulted as a means to say she knows people can be mean. She did not say she wanted to share it because it made her feel comforted. I had not heard from her in 7 months, even during the peak of civil rights movement. She had a perfect opportunity to finally talk and listen to me about racism and discrimination, especially after she saw my film about it, yet she chose to say nothing. Instead, I feel very strongly that she saw my sexual assault story as a way to manipulate me into thinking she cared for public appearances, without having to ever talk about the racism. The fact that I'm even sitting here defending my feelings around my sexual assault trauma is sad, but that's the world we live in, and I opened the door. Any other texts omitted were the remaining texts where she said positive things after saying very microaggressive, false, discriminatory things. I discussed all this in the video and shared a screenshot of some of her nice things said. That's how gaslighting works. They say nice things, then flip it and invalidate your experience, then flip it back and say nice things to confuse and manipulate you. It's called a compliment sandwich. 4. This is just cancel culture. I do not believe asking for accountability is cancel culture. I know people love to throw the word cancel around, but I never did. If we, especially minorities, cannot speak up about our experiences of microaggressions, racism, discrimination without being written off as cancel culture, then in my opinion, we are erasing stories that should be shared in hopes of pushing the conversation of equality forward. 5. This is just petty beauty drama. I'm guessing you most likely didn't watch the entire video, which is your choice. I believe the topics of this video are far more important to discuss and go far beyond some drama with a friend. These topics of microaggressions, racism, homophobic inclinations, gaslighting, manipulation, etc. are things that affect every single minority I've ever known, and so often get swept under the rug, happens in private, is written off as just deal with it and shut up, and is hurting so many people who feel unseen and unheard. 6. You're not perfect. Of course not. I'm far from it. As I said in the video, toxicity breeds toxicity, and I 100% said some crappy things about James and thinking he copied other creators early on. That is why I included the screenshots of some of the stuff I said to call myself out. Did I do it to join the Drag James theme that she often engaged in? Yes. Is that her fault that I said those things? Absolutely not. That was my mistake and my choice, regardless of who else was doing it, and I should not have. While I don't know James and never intended to try and somehow use him to collab, it's no excuse. I will do better. The very fact that I've been called every racist slur in the book as a result of making this video tells me we have so much more work to do. I'm glad the conversations are happening, and that we're seeing more than just a sea of black squares posted on social media. You don't have to like me. Hell, most of the time I'm my own greatest enemy, but but I do hope you listen to the stories of minorities. So Mykie has actually apologised, but of course it was only on her Instagram story, nowhere to be seen on the YouTubes. Awkward. In her pathetic apology she had said, "I'm sorry for my behaviour in years past, and I should have said this sooner. I ignorantly, selfishly, truly have not understood, nor did I take the time to listen about others' hardships when I was so consumed and angered with my own problems. I equated things that are not equatable. I've said a lot of things I regret, that I feel don't reflect who I am today. I am ashamed of jokes I've made in the past that I excused as edgy humour. I'm ashamed at times I've been incredibly tone deaf and excused that, even in past apologies, by my well-meaning intentions. United. If I'm missing the mark, good intentions or not, I'm missing the mark and should have been listening. And some things weren't simply missing the mark, they were just plain wrong." Rihanna mentioned in Bruce's tutorial. In truth, I've just wanted them to go away because the thought of addressing it out of seemingly nowhere terrified me. I've been afraid of being condemned for my past actions forever. I've changed a lot in the past 2 years, and I'm so ashamed of who I used to be, how self-absorbed I was, the way I used to direct my own insecurities onto other people, the way I've been so defensive, the way I refused to listen. But you are owed an apology, and I've been too coward to say it. It took me seeing a lot of my own problems through some events I went through last year that very few people in my life know about, to start to be open to basics I always should have and wish I had been open to long beforehand. I've been dealing with this privately, but I do not like who I used to be, and I have been working on this. I have lacked empathy, I have lacked patience, I lack courage. I had hoped my future actions would show that I don't stand by the things I've said or done in the past, but I should have apologised as well. Again, I was choosing the comfort of myself over the comfort of those I've hurt. This is coming too late, and sorry is not nearly enough, but I am deeply sorry. Learning how to be a good ally will be a lifelong journey, but I want to listen, to grow, and to be better. As far as personal things that have gone on between Spanky and I, a lot of things were shared or omitted without the full context, which does change some conversations, but I understand that even without full context, that doesn't make it any less harmful today. It's uncomfortable for me to get this personal online, but I understand my comfort has come at the detriment to others, so I need to address this. In short, we were very close at one point. I trusted her and we vented together often about the beauty community. A lot of my insecurities and jealousy issues came through in deplorable ways that were said in anger and frustration. I was feeling bad for myself when I shouldn't have, and aimed those feelings at those succeeding around me in an attempt to cope with my own problems. With Spanky, I tried to console her in ways that I hoped would help when she was at a low point, and I looked for any upside I thought I could find. But I understand why I was ultimately selfish and way off the mark with how I tried to do that. I missed her frustrations due to my own ignorance, and I wish I had been a better friend and a better listener. The truth is, I just did not know she felt most of these things until now, and it would take some time examining my own perspective and listening to learn how it got here, as my intent was never to hurt her. But again, I understand the intent is not the end-all be-all, so I take responsibility for how badly my intent did not align with my actions. So what are your thoughts on Spanky's response and Mykie's apology? Let me know in the comments.